Today is March the 24th,
Fourth.
and we are still celebrating Women's History Month. And all month long, we have been bringing in wonderful women who are just sharing what they do and how they make their mark in the community, what they do, what their passions are. And we titled it The Wonderment of the Woman. And everybody we brought to the table has been wonderful. And today is not an exception to the rule, but we wanted to welcome everybody back to Girls Gabbin for another Sunday. And of course, we're not enjoying that weather, but it is wonderful. So welcome spring.
Yes, welcome spring. And we will get back out into that weather.
Yes, finally.
Yes, finally.
And it'll still be light, maybe.
Hopefully,
Maybe.
hopefully.
Yeah, soon.
And hopefully the weather will kind of stay where it is right now. Because it's starting to get
It'll get a little
better.
warmer. I mean, I'm ready to take that jacket off. I'm really ready.
Absolutely.
So we're going to jump right into it because it's just the three of us hanging today. So stay tuned with us. But Andrea is going to, and of course, my name is Lisa Dove Washington.
And I'm Andrea Riley.
And Andrea is going to share with us what the Gab is today.
Yes, as always. And again, we want to thank all of the wonderful women that have been with us on Girls Gabbin. It has truly been an amazing month, and we're just going to continue that today as well. But I do want to share with you all my Gab for today is about young cadets Queen Anyane and Keisha Clemencia. They stood out to their class at the DC Fire Academy as being among the few women in a male-dominated field. Of the department's 1,550 members at the time, 35 were women. Let's fast forward nearly 3 decades, and Anyane and Clemencia are the ones in charge. These two women were appointed in recent months to battalion chief posts at the department promotions that made them the 3rd and 4th women to hold the positions in the 135-year-old department's history. There were no women among the department's 41 battalion chiefs late last year before their promotions, and in their new roles, Anyane, 45, and Clemencia, 44, helped oversee nearly 100 firefighters at 11 firehouses in the District of Columbia. They were selected among a pool of 44 candidates, the only 2 women who qualified during an interview process. They will continue and are creating a path for all of our young female fighters that shows them how and why they can do this. That's within their absolute reach, states the DC Fire Chief Gregory M. Dean, and they're definitely pioneers. So today we want to absolutely salute these women because they are actually making their mark in National Women's History Month.
Wow. Very nice, very nice. Well, that actually, before we get started, because we're going to, our guest is actually in that same vein, different, but in that same vein, because I actually forgot to mention that this week we're actually celebrating women who actually, to me, are blessing others in a way, not because they have to, but the important thing is because they want to.
Absolutely.
So servicing others and helping others is what we all do, but specifically today, these are, positions where it's just a passion that they have to see others do well, whether it's sickness, whether it's, an injury, whatever it is. So, but I did want to do a quick shout out, and we'll probably talk about this a little later, because I'm having, and Leslie and I actually talked about this a little earlier, I'm having a little moment because Cameron does drive now, but he is taking his first ride down to UMES, which is like a 2-hour, 15-minute, well, the way I drive, 2 hours, 15 minutes, but I have directed him to go the speed limit, so it should take a little bit longer, and I am clocking the time, but this is his first drive down there alone.
Okay.
So I am stressed, and that won't change, so I am, I'm working through that because, as my husband said, let the baby bird go. I get it, but it's kind of like the bridge. Okay.
Well, we're giving Cameron travel mercies.
Yes, absolutely. But double, triple that, because right now I need them too.
So we give mama mercies
because I literally have been having some moments all day, just all the way up until he just drove away saying bye. So yes, I'm having a moment, but forgive me and let me have it. Okay, thank you. But we want to go right into introducing our wonderful guest for today. She's a native of Washington, D.C., and she has an amazing passion for helping others. A graduate of Ballou Senior High School. We're not going to sing.
Yeah, we're not going to go there. We're not.
Go ahead, Ballou. Okay, y'all come on in. She holds a degree in business management from the University of Phoenix. By day, she is a corporate healthcare recruiter, but by passion, she is an EMT. So as an emergency medical technician, she has been for actually the past 24 years in Prince George's County. She has held many positions in the fire service field, including, it is a long list, so hold on, president, vice president, board chair, and rescue captain.
All right.
In addition, one of her greatest accomplishments that she has held is serving as the fire commissioner with Prince George's County, where she was selected by her peers, and she received confirmation from the then executive Rushern Baker. She's also a proud mom of 2 children. She's Gigi to a handsome grandson. Yay, Gigi. And she's engaged to be married soon. So welcome, Miss Leslie Garrett.
Yes, welcome, Leslie.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We're happy to have you at Girls Gabbin. And we are not, look, Leslie was like, I don't know about this. So we're going to have a good time. This is just girls' time. And we actually wanted you to see, I got that out the way. So as you all can see that she's done some amazing things that she's very humble about. But we want you to kind of come out of that shell a little bit, because this is Women's History Month. And when I read even your bio, but before then, I could tell, I watched some of your posts and some of the things that you do, where you've gone to help out on a Saturday or something and dedicating your time. So we want you to share with us a little bit about what you do in the fire service area.
Sure. So about 25 years ago, I started to explore ways to do more for people. I don't know if you know, on my way to dinner or an event or something, and you see an accident or something on the side of the road, and I wanted to do more than just call for help. And now I'm really going to date myself, because back then we didn't have cell phones. So call for help was get to where you're going to call for help, or stop at a telephone booth. But I wanted to be able to help people, and other than holding their hands and trying to calm them. So I started to explore ways to get training. And I actually thought that was going to be my next career. But at the time, well, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So I did find a place to get training in D.C. And it took a few months. It was great. I passed. I was ready to go. And at the time, I thought this is what I'm going to do as a career.
Okay.
I had already been in human resources for a number of years. So I had a career by day. But when I went to look for jobs, it was going to be a severe pay cut. Which is still disappointing to me. That the pay is better now, but it's still disappointing to me that pre-hospital care providers aren't as valued as
they don't pay their work.
You know, the doctors are receiving good pay, but they don't get to work if we don't get them there alive.
Right.
So I started to so I realized then that I wasn't gonna leave HR, and I was like, how can I use this new skill that I have, you know, because I paid this money to get this training, now I don't know what to do.
Right.
And what I ended up doing is hearing about volunteering in Prince George's County. So a lot of people don't know that most in Prince George's County, it's a dual fire department. It's career and volunteer. And they use the term career for people that are actually paid by Prince George's County Fire Department. And then there are volunteers. And the benefit to volunteering is free training. So even though I came in the door of training, they will provide training free of charge. There's a pension plan called LOSAP. There is a tax benefit, and then college credits. I
didn't know that.
It's a lot that you can get from volunteering. And so that was how I started.
Okay.
And I started at Boulevard Heights Fire
Mhm.
Department, and from learning how to, use my skill, and if you don't, Boulevard Heights is in Capitol Heights.
Mhm.
It's also called Boulevard Heights, but most people know it as Capitol Heights. It's right off of Southern Avenue and Alton Street. One end of the road hits Southern Avenue and Alton Street. The other end of the road hits Pennsylvania and Alton.
Okay.
And I know the area, and think back to the 90s.
Mhm.
There was a lot going on in terms of
Busy.
yeah. So that's where I got my feet wet. That's where I really got my teeth sharpened, because the types of calls we were running, accidents, shootings, stabbings,
I can
you
imagine.
name it. But from there,
What a place to train, though, right?
yeah, like if you can work, we call it the 3rd Battalion. You work 3rd Battalion, you pretty much go almost anywhere.
Right.
And so from that opened the door for me to get other opportunities to work for pay.
Okay.
And so from there, for the last 10 years or so, I've been an EMT for Prince George's County School System, working football games and other sporting events, swimming, tennis, wrestling, cheerleading.
That is wonderful.
You name it. But my greatest joy probably came from volunteering, because in that role, I'm responding on an ambulance. I'm responding to 911 calls.
Okay.
So it's not a controlled setting like a football game is. And so I've delivered not quite a dozen babies, but
Really?
a good number of babies have been delivered in the field by me.
Really?
I've saved lives. I've done CPR countless times.
That has to be really rewarding.
Dealt with stroke victims, shootings, of course.
Right.
Bunch of stories around that. Some funny, some not. Car
Right.
accidents. I've seen it all, from birth to death, in everything that you can imagine, and I really mean that.
Wow.
Everything you can imagine, I've probably seen it.
That takes a strong person.
That's a strong person.
Right. Because, I mean, there's a range, of course, when you say baby. Well, let me tell you, delivering a baby. It takes a strong person, because even though I've been there, okay, I haven't been there, right, and I don't know that I could, it just, it was already traumatic on my end, so I couldn't
It's weird
imagine.
because I'm not a gory person. Like, I don't see the scary movies. I don't want to watch a video of people fighting. I don't want to see none of that. I've never been that kind of person to watch the movies. My mom was like, "Come here, let's watch it." I would make myself go to sleep so I didn't have to watch the movie. And then I got into this, and she was like, "I'm confused."
Right.
Like, you want to watch blood and gore on a movie, or anybody fighting, or anybody being stabbed, but now you're out here responding and helping people who have been there. I can't explain
It's the help.
it. It's the help.
It's the help.
And then your adrenaline
Mhm.
is to going that you don't even realize. You know what's going on, but you don't have time to be like, oh,
Right.
I expect all that. You just gotta act, and then later you can.
Well, let me ask you, what was the very first, after when you started working, what was the very first incident that you had to kick in those skills? What did you have to do?
So we talking about 24 years ago.
Right.
But I remember a couple of calls. I remember the first time we ran a call where a guy had been shot. And it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Like, I have seen some shootings on TV, so I expected to see like this big hole and lots of blood and all this stuff going on. And in this case, it wasn't that.
Okay.
So I appreciated that, because that was my first shooting. So,
Right.
So I could be like focused. But again, you just kind of
Your mind goes
activate
somewhere
what
else.
you know you
Mhm.
have to do. And even though it's scary, like, children calls or abuse or things like that, you got to keep your emotions intact. And that's probably more the challenge for me, because I'm such a private. So that's more the challenge for me than turning those skills on.
Okay.
But with the time, you still maintain that same passion.
Oh, absolutely. You don't, some people get a little numb and they don't have that compassion because they've seen it so much and they just kind of numb to it.
Right.
I still hurt, you know, if I see somebody injured from whatever, whether there's an illness or an injury, I still, and some of that's that maternal side where I can't turn it off. I don't care if I see it every day for the rest of my life. I'm still going to feel some kind of way when I see certain injuries or run certain type of homes.
Do you think it's trained you, so if something happened to someone close to you that you knew, that has it changed the way you would handle it? Because I know as a mom, automatically, well, some of us panic. I actually don't when I'm in the midst of it. It's not till afterwards that it kicks in.
I'm smiling because, oh gosh, my son is 26, so he was probably 7 or 8, and he and my daughter were in the bedroom playing, and they were, you know, tussling, and then he would chase her, and at some point, he was running to like wrestle her, and she jumped out the way, and he hit the bunk beds, and little knots swell up on his head or whatever, and I'm like, now I'm an EMT, but I was like, oh.
It's your child.
And I mean, I couldn't even think.
Right.
And I called 911. Well, first I called a friend of mine that's a paramedic, and he didn't answer. I'm like, so then I called 911, and they're like, what's your address? I'm like, y'all know where I'm calling from. I'm like, I know what you're saying, you know.
That part I know, right.
I was just no good. And so that happened that one time. I think since then I've been better, but I was like, girl, what just happened? Like, you are trained to do this, but when it's your family.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was early on. When it's your family, sometimes it's a different dynamic.
Right.
You know, you know.
Because now you're thinking way beyond this moment, and you like, okay, so what if this, you know, you're worrying about things that
like,
when you're doing somebody
baby.
else, right,
then,
right.
You know, as opposed to, here's a patient. This is what you do. You've run this call countless times, but I swear I froze. I couldn't think. I couldn't even think straight.
Yeah, I saw you post some pictures with the you had your medical bag, and it was one of the pictures that she posted, and she had her medical bag, and I was like, that's a cool picture, you know, because most of the time you see firefighters or EMTs and you see men.
Right.
And so in the back of your mind, you always, even younger, it's still in my head that was always a man in that position. So as I've gotten older and you see women, you know, I think it's like a wonderful thing to show young women that we're there too, but you never see us.
It's so saturated now. I mean, so many women are firefighters and EMTs, and I love it. I mean, I've met some of the most beautiful people in my 24 years of doing this that by day you wouldn't think,
right?
You know, like
I didn't know. That's why I didn't.
They do,
I had no idea.
It's amazing, and I think I like it because women are naturally more compassionate about matters, and so it's a nice balance. Not saying that the men aren't,
right?
But I've had some cases where I'm like, y'all just really, y'all don't feel nothing, but it's just because they had seen it so much they had gotten numb to it. Where I think it's a little harder for us to do that.
Okay.
It is in a sense. You're absolutely right about
It
that.
is. It's just natural. So all the many positions that you've held, which was maybe your favorite? I know that you mentioned being the fire commissioner, which I wanted to ask you, how was that?
So the fire commissioner is interesting. So that with the other positions that you mentioned, the president and vice president and rescue captain, and there were a few others that I didn't even mention. Those are specific to the house that you belong to.
Okay.
So I was, there was some firsts for a woman. You know, I was the first president at that firehouse. I was the first vice president, I think. First
that's what I was
rescue captain. So those were things that were new and unique and challenging because they tested me. Like they wanted. I've always been like quiet and meek and humble, and they pushed buttons that made me grow and get a little bit more aggressive. And because it was a very male-dominated environment, and I couldn't be a pushover, but I'm a people pleaser. You know, I own it now. I'm working on it. You know, I need therapy, but I'm better. But it was challenging. But the most The fire commission one was a little different because that was outside of my station. So the county has several fire commissions that are assigned to, I'll say a battalion or a group of firehouses.
Okay.
And your peers vote for you. You know, they vote for whoever is, you know, that they want to see in that role. And that was not only a male dominated environment, but a white male dominated environment.
Mm.
And I did have one friend that was the first black male firefighter, fire commissioner a few years before. And then there was a Caucasian female fire commissioner. But yeah, I was voted in as the first black female fire commissioner, which surprised me because
That's awesome.
it's weird. I would go to these meetings before I became, before I ran for it, and people knew who I was. They were like, "Hey, Leslie, all things are Boulevard High School." I'm like, how do y'all know who I am? And so it still surprised me when I was voted in, and the process ultimately requires confirmation from the county executive, and at the time that was Sharon Baker.
Okay.
And so
That's good stuff.
what that role is, it helps, it manages the budgets for the departments that are under you.
Okay.
So you make sure each station gets proper funding, and that the expenses that they're submitting are approved and categorized properly, and that, everything is legitimate. And so
That's a big deal.
That
it
is.
it was challenging
A lot
because
of responsibility.
a lot of responsibility.
Well, and that's what what I was talking about, because I think there was a newspaper article you posted or something. It was something you posted, and you were the first, black woman to hold that position. And actually, I'm just learning that there were several. But that was what kind of made me think, okay, we sleeping on her, because I mean that is something. That's something to celebrate.
I really don't. You're right. I really don't. I think I realized it more in hindsight than I did in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
that I did that.
Right.
Like at the time,
You were just
I didn't think about being a black woman
Right.
in this role. It was just
Mhm.
I made it. I get to represent my department and make a difference.
Right.
But then as time, later, it's almost like you looking at yourself in
Right.
in a dream or something. I was like, wait a minute.
You said, I really did
Did
that.
some things. Right.
That was
Right.
huge.
I
That was
really
huge.
did
It
that.
was.
Yes.
It's bad and it's good. It's the good part is that I did it. The bad part is that, it took till 2000 and whatever for us to get there.
Right.
Like Prince George's County is a predominantly African American county.
Right.
And why are
Would it
these
take that
decisions
long?
being made by, people that are not representing
Absolutely.
the culture? So
Right.
Yeah, that stood
Wow.
out to me, and it was also because a lot of times young people think that whoever makes history in that way or does something like that is somebody that's way untouchable,
Right.
somebody they never meet or know or anything. And the fact that you actually, they don't realize it probably, but you're right in the mix.
Right
You're
here.
at the sports events, and and they don't even know. They don't even know. You know.
it is, I'm just
Right.
the EMT. I'm just here to help make sure
Yes.
babies go home safely
And that's why I
And
said
that's
you're humble in that
Yeah.
you wouldn't necessarily, but it means sometimes it's hard for us to do it for ourselves. But to me, that's why Girls Gabbin is here, because it's like, okay, well, it's our job to let them know, so that even if you never tell them, when they see you, they know who they're in the presence of, because that's a big deal.
That's a big deal.
And there are a lot of young ladies out there who, don't realize that we do things like that.
Right.
And actually, there's a whole lot of young men out there that don't realize that, mamas are out there making their marks.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I when I saw that, I was like, I know she's not thinking this, and I couldn't find the post itself.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm gonna bring that up to
I think
her.
it was a Black History post, right?
Yeah, it was, and I could not
Yeah.
find it for the life of me. I just kept on saying, where is that? Because I'm just going to surprise her with it. But, I mean, that was one of the reasons why, you fit perfectly
That's awesome.
into
No, I
what we're
appreciate
doing
that. I
and
really
celebrating
do.
women.
It's I don't think anybody that, even with Keisha and
Queen.
Queen, we don't do it to become
Right,
Right.
the first whatever.
Right.
You just doing.
right,
And then it becomes that, and it's, like I said, a lot of times you don't even realize it until somebody kind of brings it to your attention. Like, do you know what you're doing right now? Do you
right,
realize
right.
what this means?
Yeah, that's major history.
That is
For not just Prince George's County,
But
for
just Well, the African American community.
for black
For
women,
history,
right?
for
For
black
black women.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the month, you know. It was good that you posted it there because I saw a lot of people posted things that they did or was recognized for, and I was like, really? Because you don't think about it until that happens, but it's like, okay, well, I'm going to shine a light, or, you know, I got to say something because, you know, that is big stuff, and I want even my grandchildren to grow up and know that it's not that we weren't there, and that's the same thing when Sylvia and them came on. It was like, people don't know that we were back there when, you know, Iman was modeling that somebody right here.
But they were making their mark.
Yeah.
As you continue to make your mark. So.
And that's a big story.
And it's something you need to let people know.
Oh, we letting them know.
Yeah,
we don't want to let them know.
That's it.
So we really appreciate you coming on and chatting with us. And it hasn't been that bad.
No,
we weren't gonna put you on the spot, right? Because then we're gonna
you all right?
we're gonna and any questions that, you know, Andrea, I don't know, because I know you did the what's the gab thing, and I think you said you've known a little bit about.
I know. I actually know their relatives.
Okay.
So I don't know them personally, but I know of them. I certainly follow them. I certainly applauded them when they were promoted because I know that environment. Many people that volunteer in Prince George's County work in other jurisdictions.
Right.
So many of them work in D.C.
Okay.
And so that's how our paths have
And
crossed.
one of the reasons I do was the Gab is because a lot of women don't get that recognition.
Absolutely.
And I did not hear about any of that was going on. So we kind of do the research based on that, based on women being knowledgeable, sharing it as Girls Gabbin does.
Yeah.
I mean, because there's so many making an impact in so many aspects of
There
business,
really are. And
life, etc.
And like I said, they don't do it for the recognition.
Not at all.
And because they don't, sometimes it doesn't get recognized.
Right.
You know, because they're not,
Absolutely.
you know, most people aren't going around saying, look what I did.
Right.
Unless it's to promote something else. you know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
So it
Right.
often falls under the radar.
Right.
And we probably need to get better at that. I mean, it is the hardest thing I know I've ever had to do is do a bio. And I run into that with everybody, even when we're, you know, unless you're already in a business where that's something people are going to need. So you just have something there. But I know the struggle, even with having to give that to somebody and update it, was like, okay, I'll get back to you on that. But I just, I was like, I don't know how to, like, if we're just having conversation, yeah, I can talk to you and we can talk about the things we've done. But to put it on paper, you feel some kind of like, should I? So I always leave things out because Andrea has caught me a few times where she's like, somebody said something and she's like, oh, you didn't tell me that. And I never wrote it down. And it's cost me now because now I have to go back and remember because people they're like, I want to know. What did you? I'm like, I didn't.
It's a good exercise to do.
It is.
No matter what your field
It
is,
is.
what level you are, because people don't, you know, they only think that celebrities are worth having a bio.
Right.
Or you know, entrepreneur, someone with a big business or something.
Right.
No,
It's
at
not
any
about
level,
that.
everybody has an accomplishment of some sort.
Absolutely. And that's why we also have our platform.
Yep.
That is our biggest emphasis. It's not about your
That's why.
entrepreneurship. It's not about you being publicly noted for something, but because those that are publicly noted are the ones making the greater impacts.
Right.
So that's why we do this platform continuously. We got to.
That's why. I mean, because we want to shout out everybody. And what I recognized was that most of the times it's a lot of not local celebrities is what I like to call them that are doing some amazing things just like the celebrities are doing. So, I mean, celebrity to me sometimes is a level of how many people know what you're doing and then more people want to know. But that's the beginning is here because somebody wants to know this information or needs to know it. And so it's part of our job now to just put you on blast in a beautiful way.
Just sharing the like I said, the story about volunteering is really important for our young people and not so young people to know that there are opportunities at fire stations to become a volunteer, firefighter or EMT, and that opens the doors to other opportunities. Many people have started out volunteering. Sometimes just to see if this is a field I want to get into, but maybe you just know this is what you want to do. And you get that training free of charge, and that's really important to know
Yeah.
because you can get training at PG College, you can get training at a bunch of other places like I did, but you can get it free of charge at a firehouse in Prince George's County.
I will say, Leslie, by you mentioning volunteering, because when you think of that word, I did not know that all of that fell behind that.
Me either.
So you can get an education, you can get knowledge of your field.
And then you go apply somewhere else and you already have your credentials.
Right.
So you're not, whether it's a jurisdiction like DC Fire or Arlington or, my friends work around the perimeter of Prince George's County, but they got their credentials in the county.
Okay.
That's a big emphasis because I know young adults probably think the word volunteer means no pay. And it's much more than
they probably
that.
Do.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And I would encourage them to look at it as an internship. But
absolutely.
But the key is we don't want people to come in and get the training and leave.
Right.
So you'll see people, you stay forever, and I would go to, we have meetings twice monthly, and I really was, when I was heavily involved in it as the president and as the fire commissioner, I had to go, and what you saw were people in their 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s because they joined as young as 16, and then they get their full-time job in another county, and some of them stayed in Prince George's County and got a job there too, but they continue to give back as volunteers.
That's awesome.
I'm actually missing, and I knew I would, a gentleman passed last week who had been serving for 70 years.
Wow.
As a volunteer in Prince George's County, and today was his service. And it was just a testament of that's what you do. You come in at 16, and you just keep, you do your other job, your career, your paying gig, but you continue to give back to your community. And the stories that I was seeing on Facebook, just how he touched so many people because you end up being a mentor when you don't even intend to be a mentor. Especially, when I was in those other roles, they would always have the girls come talk to me, and I'm like, I don't want to be the mama bear, I don't want to be the mentor. But I had no choice because people are always watching.
Right.
So I could say I don't want to do it, but I'm still doing it, whether I'm doing it actively or passively.
Yeah, I mean, you're mentoring. Voluntold is the word I use sometimes when you in it, but it's a wonderful thing. I mean, and you do it well. You are very humble, and when I saw it, I said I would have never guessed that for 24 years. I learned in 24 years when I saw the bio, but I knew you did something. But I was like, I love anybody who volunteers to do things like that is just wonderful to me, because it takes a special heart to want to do something like that, and it's not a forced thing. It's just what you feel like you got to do, and giving back, even though it's something that women, kind of naturally do. But the way you give and what you have to see and endure still affects you personally and your family. So to still dedicate, because it sounds like it trains people to be dedicated in a whole nother level, because to stay for 70 years is a true dedication. It really is.
But you're passionate about it.
Right.
And it doesn't work for everybody.
Right.
Some people explore it and realize it's not for me. But when it is for you, it's so rewarding. Delivering babies was probably the most rewarding thing I've done,
That's
I think the first one was right after I had lost my grandmother. And the very first call I had was an OB. It's like, what? And I had taken time off, like I didn't want to do it anymore because I had lost somebody so close to me. And the first call was life, and I was like, okay, I get it. That's where I'm supposed to be. Even though I don't want to be here today.
Absolutely.
But it makes you appreciate things too.
Was that hard, the baby?
That particular story was just
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
But it was because I had textbook knowledge, so I knew how to do it in my mind based on the textbook. I could fill out answer test questions. I knew how to do it in theory.
Right.
And on the way to the call, I was so nervous. I was like, oh Lord. And I'm talking to my partner, who at the time was seasoned.
Okay.
Like, I don't know what to do. I've never done this. I'm walking through it in my mind. He was like, just relax, you got it. Well, when we got there, the young lady was already crowning. Like the baby was like, I'm coming whether you ready or not.
Wow.
Pushing already.
So that first one was just crazy because we got her out the bathroom and laid her on the carpet, and the baby was just like, I'm here. And then we had to cut the cord and do all that kind of
Right.
stuff. And because it was my first, he was like, you cut the cord. And I never forget, I was shaking so hard that I had to hold my hand with the scalpel because I was just like,
I bet.
like, whew, I can't believe I'm doing this.
Right.
But then I didn't want to get a baby back. I needed to deliver the baby, and I was like, I got the baby, y'all get her downstairs.
Well, because I heard it's a moving experience from that
to be.
that
And
end.
I was like, ooh, this ain't what I thought it was going to be. Things are not rosy. Let's just put it that way.
Right.
There's a lot of smells and sights and stuff going on that I was like, ooh.
But that's
think those doctors more. I'm glad
But
y'all
that's
got
an
that job.
amazing thing to be able to say. I mean, because to me, if you want to just be really real about it, having Leslie in the room in any given situation, you are in a safer position
Oh my
than
goodness.
not. But I mean, I'm
That
just
is
being
the case.
real.
No, my goodness. At work, I used to work for a pharmaceutical company. We had numerous MDs, medical doctors, and nurses. If somebody got sick or something, they were calling me. I'm like, call Dr. So-and-so. They're like,
Bypass the doctor.
They go straight to you. And even my family, my mom used to, do the same thing. Like, where's Les? I'm like, wow.
Okay, Les, what we supposed to do?
I can't do everything. We had a cookout once, and we had a keg of beer. And the keg, it was half empty, but still, it's a keg. That's half even empty. And it fell on one of my cousin's toe. And she's like, Les, come here. I'm like, ooh. We need to call 911.
It was like Super Leslie, right?
I mean, like, I could apply pressure, but I need an ambulance. I need tools.
But you would know. You know, even if it's, okay, well, who do I
still
call
know what to
Leslie?
do.
Right.
I still know what to do.
Who do I
to
call,
keep them-
Leslie? Call
to
your
keep
peeps.
them, stabilized until the unit got there.
She said,
But-
ooh, we
Right.
need some help.
Like,
we need some help.
We need some help.
Me and you in this boat
We need
together.
more than me.
But it is probably very comforting to know that you at least, and then, like I said, things are for who, they are for you. I think it's personality.
It is.
So, I know, well, and I guess it depends because like I said, when my kids are going through something, I do notice that when I'm in the midst of it, I'm usually the one who's like, okay, you got to stop the tears. You got to talk to me. I cannot figure this out. If you, I can't do it. I can't. But now, if it wasn't my situation and I'm not right hands on, I would be a nervous break and I'm just running around. But when I'm have to be there, I think we just kind of kick into, okay, what can we do to make this better so that I can then break down?
And
Yeah.
And like I said, we're human. I get on scenes and I'm like, ooh,
Right.
But then they looking to me, so I can't be
Right.
like, ooh,
Right.
I gotta, get into action. But it's rewarding. It's there's so many funny stories. I mean, it's just so many things happen that kind of give it some balance, so it's not all stressful and oh my God, and then there's that. They really called us for that,
Could imagine.
But I also imagine you work a lot of hours too.
Well, I've slowed down now because I'm 50, and I was like, I gotta slow down, especially when I got my grandson. I really wanted so. But back in the day, it was nothing for me to work a few evenings a week and weekends. In addition to my career. In human resources, but I've slowed down a lot. I just needed to find balance. And then the cycle. It's a cycle. More young people come on and learn and build, and you become more of a mentor. But and then in the fall, I do the sports. Well, that's not even fall. Fall is football.
Football.
Right now we're doing.
Is
track.
it baseball? Okay.
We're doing track. You know what? They don't have anybody for baseball.
Really?
We do football, tennis, swimming, lacrosse, soccer.
And PG County, all of PG County. You know what? And now that you say that, when Cameron was playing, I don't remember anybody coming.
They look at, they have to balance it out. So the school system hires, now they started hiring athletic trainers, but before it was EMTs. But they look at what sports are more likely to have an injury that needs immediate care.
Okay.
And so if you think about football, there's the high risk of concussion. With the cheerleaders, they tossing each other up in the air and dropping them and so forth. So there's also that. Lacrosse, soccer, not so much. They're kicking each other in the shins, but they still want somebody there if they're available. swimming, is high.
Okay.
Tennis is not the
Yes,
sport,
swimming
but
was
it's the
always-
heat.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
usually you're not gonna really get hurt playing tennis,
Right.
but it's hot.
It's the heat. Okay.
You know,
Okay.
when you get in the summer months, it's the heat.
Because I
So,
never did see one baseball. I was a swimmer in high school,
Yeah.
so there was always
yeah,
someone
definitely
there.
swim is-
It was always a big deal at a
baseball,
swimming
you can
match.
throw that.
Definitely,
There's some
right.
things that can happen, but
It's rare.
It's when they
Yeah,
have to
very.
figure out, they have to
Yeah.
prioritize.
Mhm.
Right.
That's not gonna be one.
I didn't think about that till you said that, but I rarely saw them at the baseball. And I guess it depends on what county you're in too.
It's the county too, absolutely.
Because Virginia is serious about their baseball players.
Many
So
of the jurisdictions hire athletic trainers, and like I said, Prince George's County started that model too a couple of years ago. But the problem is, it's one athletic trainer per school. Well, you can't be everywhere.
right,
So football practice, you're there, but there may be a basketball game going on inside or something. You just can't be everywhere.
right.
So it's still not totally covered, but
Mhm.
it's better than it's been.
Now, I'm gonna ask you a question. This is a funny story. So I'm put my grandmother's no longer with us, but she had a funny story that keeps us smiling. So I know she's smiling from us. But who? And I'm just trying to find out. Is it an EMT that comes when she was going through stages of dementia, and she had Alzheimer's. So she was in and out of it at times, and you couldn't tell her she was when she was. So she thought she woke up one morning, and now I can tell it because my mother, when she first told me, said, "Do not tell your grandmother I've told you this story." But she woke up and thought she had swallowed her teeth.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God.
So she was gagging and that kind of thing. So she called 911,
Right.
and she afterwards went into the bathroom and discovered that that was not the case. Okay, so this is just the cutest
Poor
story
thing.
because
She thought
my
she
grandmother's
swallowed
about
teeth.
5'2", and she's need a bake a little haircut and just as fly as she want to be. But she was having a moment. But when she figured it out, the EMT they hadn't come yet. So she figured it out before they got there. Of course, they're going to come. So when they came to the door, she had to actually explain the story to them. And of course, she's 80 years old. So they laughed because I was kind of curious, like, well, what did they say? Because I know when you mention some calls, it's like, really, she goes. But is it the EMT that comes to answer that call?
And it could be EMTs and firefighters.
Okay.
So EMT and firefighters
Poor
and
thing.
EMTs.
It was
in
so
Prince
cute.
George's County, you're both. You're a firefighter and you have EMT training.
Okay.
But what happens is the ambulances run more calls, so more times than not, the engine, a fire truck or a fire engine is going to come first.
Okay.
And they're going to evaluate while an ambulance is coming.
Okay. So
But,
that was a funny little.
That's
Yeah, that's hilarious.
It was so fun. It was cute. Yeah, because
Yeah,
it's
poor
like
thing.
as soon as she thought it, then she figured it out, and then it was kind of like, oh, it's okay, I'm good. And of course, they still have to kind of check you out, and
We
she
still
was
wanna make
living
sure,
alone and
right.
all that kind of stuff. And I guess at her age, they, probably I said, oh, this is one that they went back and really laughed about. So someone was laughing at my grandmother,
Yeah,
Oh no.
but she was cute. She was cute.
That's cute.
My grandmother, one of the reasons I wanted to become an EMT is because she had diabetes,
Okay.
and I wanted to figure out like how to help her. I had recently separated from my husband. The kids and I had moved with her, and one day I came home and she hadn't eaten or hadn't taken her medicine, but she had gone into a diabetic coma. And I came in and she was not responding, so I called 911, and the fire engine and the EMTs came, and they were giving her glucose. They were getting the stuff together to give her to kind of bring her back. And my grandmother, you have to know her, like she was a flirt, a huge flirt, just
Oh my goodness.
fresh, as my mother used to say, just fresh, just hot. So they've given her the medication, and slowly she's coming back. Now at this point, we've got an engine and EMT, so 2 people on the ambulance and maybe 4 or 5 on the engine. So it's 6 or 7 guys.
Guys,
It was
I was
all
gonna say, it's all
guys
men.
this time.
Right.
And
You said
she
flirt.
wakes up and she was
Big kind of
like,
muscle.
"Good morning, Lord." And I'm like, "Oh my God." And they were like, they don't get it. They're like, "Is she normal?"
Right.
Right.
And I said, she bad.
You like,
Yeah,
how
she's
embarrassing
actually
is this?
flirting with you, right?
She closed her shirt and like, and I'm like, oh my God.
She probably
She
remembered
said-
said that, she was like,
She
oh my
said good morning, Lord.
goodness.
She just knew she was in heaven,
was
honey.
like-
And all the
75
attention
around
and
her.
everything.
Black men, like
I'm
seven
like,
of
they're saying
them.
it around her.
You know, I got it. I was
That
like,
is
right,
too
I feel you,
cute.
Grandma, but you 70.
And she was the center of attention.
Okay.
She loved
All
it.
eyes
She was
on
like,
her.
That's
we
cute.
get that too, though. Like when we run calls and the guys come with us, or like, you know, my partner is a female. My favorite partner is a female, but I run, you know, worked with men too. But if we call for help or an additional unit, people are something when they see the man.
Yes,
Really?
in a uniform.
They feel a little better, you say?
all of a
Some
sudden.
people are like, well, it's not that bad. I'm
Little
okay.
frisky, little bad, little something. We've seen
That's
people
funny.
open doors. You know, we've gone
Oh
in
my
buildings,
gosh.
knock on your door because you've called an ambulance. People open the other door with no clothes
Those
on.
on.
Are you serious?
What's going
I've
on? What's
heard
Wait a
going
minute.
on?
Okay, let me adjust this camera. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
They ready, honey. They
Wait a
said
minute.
Men in uniform are coming to the door.
Wait a minute. Oh,
I can't
okay.
make this stuff up.
Wait a minute. Back up. Back up.
I can't make
You
this
are
stuff
saying
up.
to me that when you make a call, you go to a call.
I have knocked on
Hold
the
up.
door.
Okay, y'all listen, because I know somebody going to have a question. When you make a call, you're at this door, and at this door.
Hello.
Because they hear the commotion in the hall, so they
Exactly.
know what it is because they can hear the radio activity. And all
I
of
am
a sudden,
done.
And typically they know it's
And they
men.
might have
A lady.
not the
robe.
gown, the robe,
Mhm.
the robe. But I've seen it open. I've seen more on some of these women than I've seen when I'm delivering a baby. People had on more clothes.
I can't.
Oh.
I didn't know. I mean, you see
Oh,
it in
my
the
goodness.
you see it in the movies
It's
that
every
people,
day.
you know, the lady over here at this door says, "Hey, how you doing? Oh, y'all okay?" I see it in the movies, but I never
It
thought
is
in real
real
life
life.
that people are
That's
doing this.
real.
Yes.
That's
'Cause
the
look,
time
I was
to
getting
go to
ready-
your car. That's the time that you want to check your
Mail, honey.
Oh, my
All of a sudden,
goodness.
everybody outside, and we just laugh because we know it.
I'm
Like,
gonna say you have to.
So
You
okay, so
absolutely have to
in that
laugh.
same vein, since we're there, because I was actually going to ask you what was one of the hardest calls, but what was one of the? Because I know you probably have tons of stories, but what was one of the funniest or oddest things that you all ran across? Because I could only imagine.
gosh, it's so many.
I would just that made you all like something that you all are still laughing about today.
Yeah.
There's a one call where the neighbors downstairs called because they hadn't heard the lady upstairs moving around, and she was an older lady, so they
Okay.
wanted to make sure she was okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
You know, and that's not uncommon. They call it a check on the welfare. So the police usually come and the fire department. And so this young lady or this
Are we
older
ready?
lady, she was fine. You know, she had just been drinking. She was chilling. She had her little Irish rose bottles around the floor. It was a
Not
mess,
on the
but
floor. Okay.
she'd been drinking and she was feeling good. She was
Okay.
moving a little slower.
She got to the door.
But we wanted to take her in to get her checked out because some of her behavior, we just wasn't sure if that was normal for her
Okay.
or whatever. So we have this thing called a stair chair that we put you in that kind of walks down the stairs. It's like a wheelchair sort
Okay.
of, but then it allows us to take you down the stairs, and it has like the bulldozer that wrap around. Or if you think about a treadmill, it just kind of walks down the steps, but it just
Okay.
rolls.
Okay.
So we had put her on the chair. We're gonna get her down the steps, and my partner is getting a little frustrated because every time we get ready to go, she's like, "I need my keys. I need my this. I need that." We like, "Come on, we need to get you out of here." We get her in the hall, and the hall's narrow, and finally she's like, "Stop!" We're like, "What?" She's like, "I need my wig." Jesus be first. I thought we were going. My partner, put that wig on. Let's go. We still. That had to be
Oh my
5,
goodness.
7 years ago.
cannot
When
be
I say
saying that
we
wig
still
now.
laugh about that story. Then she got out in the hall. The police was there. She grabbed one of them by the crouch. She just
Oh my
kept it
gosh.
going all night.
Oh, she had a good night.
Yeah, she
She
did. She
whatever
said,
she was drinking on
you said she was feeling good when you got there.
was extra. But I will never forget her in that wig. And the police officer was just like,
That is hilarious.
That is hilarious.
Oh my
there
gosh.
are tons of those. Then there, like I said, then there's the other side where the calls are
Right.
really bad.
Right.
And for me, gosh, I have a couple of bad calls because I run family members.
Okay.
Where I worked, I had family that lived in that area, right? They were in our the first response area. And so, in one case, I had a cousin that had stomach cancer, and I didn't know. And when I got there, she was unresponsive, and we took her in, and she probably passed within a couple of weeks. She was late stage.
Oh, that had to be hard.
So I was a little scarred because,
Right.
you know, I've run a couple of family members, but the worst one was a car accident with 4 young guys that we ran, and I actually wasn't on the ambulance. I was on the fire truck, so it was a little different. The ambulance was already out on the call, and I was on the fire engine, and we got on the scene first. And it was 4 people. Somebody had one person. One guy was walking around, so he didn't have any injuries. There was one kid right by me as soon as I stepped off. I mean, he was literally at my feet when I jumped down. And, and I took care of him. There was a guy in the car who had passed. And then there was another guy that they found in the bushes.
Right.
And so the guy that I was dealing with, he looked so much like my cousin. I kept saying, "What's your name? Where you live?" And he lived next door. He lived on the same street.
Oh.
And I was like, "Oh my gosh, you just look so much like my cousin." That's what I'm saying in my mind, but it
Right.
wasn't him.
Okay.
So the guy in the bushes, they called a helicopter and they flew him to the hospital. And the guy in the car was passed. And so we had to wait for the morgue to come. So we were there forever. That was a Friday night. That whole weekend, that call just kept bothering me. I was just like,
Yeah.
something about this call is just staying with me. And it wasn't until Sunday that I found out that the guy in the bushes was actually my cousin. And he passed.
Oh.
And I didn't know because maybe he passed Sunday morning. I went to church and someone came to me and said, "I'm so sorry about your cousin." And with no other preface, I knew exactly what she was talking about. And I just started crying, and then I went right over to the house. And the kid that I had, he lived next door. He came up to me. We met as soon as I was walking in the house. It was just surreal.
Yeah, that is so
surreal. And it was like, this is the worst. But between running family and the potential to run family, I think the hardest thing for me was knowing that I couldn't, you know, my mom passed a few years ago, that I had saved so many people over the years that I couldn't do anything for her. That's the hardest part, I think, for anybody who's in a situation where you're a doctor or a nurse or EMT or whatever.
That you weren't
when
part of
it's
that.
your person,
Right.
you know, that you're vested in, that you can't, and I couldn't.
Yeah, that's got to be hard. And I know I asked because there was a time back in I think my daughter was like 4 years old, so it was over 20 years ago. But I was in an accident over by Deanwood, just leaving work, and a guy I don't know what he was doing, but I took off from a red light when it turned green, and he slammed right into me, spun the car and everything. But when I got out, and you know, God puts people in places for reasons, but it was odd because my non-sister was a nurse or something at the time, and when I got out the car, because I was dazed, you know, and didn't know what was going on, and immediately when you get in an accident, at least with me, it was like I just want to go home. So I didn't want to get in the ambulance. I just wanted to go home. I got to pick up my baby girl and I got to go home. But I didn't realize at the time that her sister was on that corner waiting for, I don't know if it was a bus or she was walking home or whatever it was, but it was somebody trying to get me to get out the car. And I didn't know who it was until she said, "Lisa, you know, it's me."
Wow.
And then I looked at her, and I can't remember. I knew it was somebody there who knew me.
Right.
But as soon as I knew that, it relaxed me just a little bit. But probably because she was there, I agreed to go, which, I mean, hindsight, it was just stupid.
Normal.
To not want to go.
Yes.
Because when my daughter was in an
times
accident the
people
other
don't
day,
wanna go.
right, she didn't, and she's pregnant, and so it's kind of like the first thing I said. She was on the way to a doctor's appointment, and she was probably a mile or two from home, which they say. And when she called, of course, I'm frantic, like, what? So I go, and I'm like, I'll come get you and take you to I totally forgot about, like, the process of, okay, somebody's going to get her before you, Lisa. But I said, I'm going to take you to the doctor. So just stay right there, like she's going to just wait on the side of the road. But it was just like I wanted my hands on her. But she, too, did not want to, you know, she was like, I just said, well, if my mom can take me home, I even told the police officers that, well, I called my mom, so she's coming to take me home. And he said, well, no, that's not going to work.
And now, it depends. Like, I don't require everybody in an accident to go to the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people think I need to go because I got hit, and if I don't go, I won't get paid. That's
Oh,
a
is
real
that
talk.
where they are? Okay.
Especially if they know they weren't at fault. They're like,
Right.
oh, I got to go to ambulance because.
Oh.
And you don't. And most of the time, you don't even feel the discomfort until the next day
Right.
because your adrenaline is so.
Right.
Whew, like you just a bucket of nerves, but you're not really. Your body hasn't really let you know what's
Right.
going on.
Right.
So I tell people, it's okay to go tomorrow. You
Mhm.
you can still sue if you go to the doctor tomorrow. I don't.
But I mean, yeah, because I guess, and that was
But
like the
especially
furthest
if
thing
it's
from
a
my
fender
mind.
bender, like people
Right.
are like if it's a pregnant person, I definitely want them to get checked out. I don't want
Right.
to wait until tomorrow. Let's go.
Right.
If it's an elderly person, let's go.
Right.
But 9 times out of 10, if it's a minor accident,
Mhm.
they probably
And you don't see blood. You don't see.
they probably
Yeah.
are okay going tomorrow because. Going today, you probably, like I said, you might not even feel the pain.
Mhm.
You don't know
how it
where
is.
it
And
hurts.
It's
Right.
like if you worked out, you
Right.
not sore that night, you
Right.
sore the next
Absolutely.
day. You
Right.
wake up, you're like, oh, okay, now I've been hit.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
man.
we have really enjoyed this.
Fairly.
And you actually, what we want to do, we're getting ready to, we're almost done. We have a
Yes.
couple of minutes, but we actually, Leslie, wanted you, is there any information for somebody who's interested in volunteering, or what
Sure.
information do they need?
It's really easy. I would say identify which station you want to become a member of because every station is independent.
Right.
Okay.
So it's all under the umbrella of the Prince George's Fire and EMS Department, but each station is independent.
Okay.
And so they have it set up where you can come to a station and learn and ride along on a call and see if this is what you want to do or if this is the environment you want to be in. Because some stations may not be a cultural fit,
Mm-hmm.
or may not be easy for you to get to.
Right.
So I encourage people if they think this is something they want to explore that they go visit their local fire department. And I'm only speaking about Prince George's County.
Okay.
Because different counties have different procedures. DC doesn't have a volunteer program.
Oh, okay.
So, and then put your application in. There's a process. You have to complete a physical and a background and different things to make sure that you can do this. So they're
Right.
going to make sure that your heart is good because
Right.
you're going from this to 100.
Right.
We're sitting around eating or watching TV or shooting a breeze, and then a fire comes out, and now you're at 100.
Right.
You need to make sure you can handle that.
Right.
Your body can handle that.
Right.
But once you get through that process and start training, like I said, it's so rewarding. It's a rewarding way to give back.
Mm-hmm.
It's a way to help people, but if you're trying to find your career, it's also a jump, a boost to getting you, in a trade, in a field that's just, I don't know, one of the best to me. I wish I had done it younger
Mm-hmm.
before I started making big money. But I think it's something that people ought to explore, especially young people that are just trying to figure out what they want to do.
Absolutely. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much, Lisa.
This was wonderful.
Absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You made it. You
I
made
can
it.
breathe now.
And look, as Michelle Wright said in one of her posts when she was here, she said, "I survived Girls Gabbin." So now,
Absolutely.
Leslie, you survived. But no, we really appreciate you coming on board.
Thank you for having me.
This was good. I mean, to share with people who didn't know that you could volunteer like that and give back like that. So, I mean, I was excited to bless others with someone who loves, the service you do is wonderful. So, as humble as you are, we're going,
you.
yay, Leslie!
Continue to keep making your mark.
Yes,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
And you all always know you can reach us individually, of course, Lisa Dove Washington and Andrea Riley, on Girls Gabbin on Instagram and Facebook, and on our website at www.girlsgabbin.com. We will see
Thank
you
you,
all next
and we will be in
Sunday.
tune. For those who had questions, please let us know, and we will get back with you.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Bye.
Nice. Sounds good.
Great, you did wonderful.